Hello, everyone. I'm Eve Pollard, and this is the Mararthon Mind podcast. I'm a mom, wife, marathon runner, paratrooper, and entrepreneur. I grew up on food stamps going in and out of the New York City shelter system and eventually dropped out of high school at the age of 16. I have completed over 100 road races all over the world, and in 2017, I was inducted into the World Marathon Majors Hall of Fame. I'm an Iraq and Afghanistan veteran, and when I'm not leading soldiers and saving lives in the U.S. Army, I'm juggling marriage, motherhood, and the real estate market. People often ask me how I do it all. So I created this podcast to share some of my tips, tricks, tools, and resources. I will tell you my story and speak with other successful people who are tackling the marathon of life and achieving their personal best. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. This is the second episode of the Mararthon Mind podcast. And on today's episode, we are talking all things goal setting, vision boards, and values. I hope everyone had a great New Year's Eve. And I spent my New Year's Eve at home with my family. We had a Mardi Gras New Year's Eve, and we had a really good time. I know a lot of you are probably coming down from the high that is New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and setting up to go back to work this week or already back to work this week. And the kids are headed back to school. So I know that there's a lot happening, but I hope that you all are well. Here at the Pollard household, we're all going back to work and headed back to school. And so my focus for the week is on structure, because I heard a really good saying that structure equals freedom, and that's my goal for the next few months of the new year. So to kick it off, I just really thought it would be important to start out this episode talking about goal setting, which is something that I've been doing since I can remember. I think the earliest record of me setting goals is when I was 9 years old, and that was one of the highlights of my days, writing out my goals and hopefully hoping that one day I would achieve them all, even though I didn't know how to spell a lot of the words, but it was really, really important to me that I got it written down and I had it on paper and I had it recorded. I recently told someone that when I was 9, I wrote out my goals on February 18th. And our son was born on February 18th, 2011. So hey, all those years later to the day, my goals and dreams came true. But here we are in 2021. Everyone had a lot of change from 2020. And I hope that it was still, you found something to be happy about and something to be proud of yourself about for 2020. But it's 2021. And so we're going to look ahead to the future, enjoy where you are, and move forward and look towards the future. So for 2021, we finally made it. We are here. And many people are doing vision boards and setting goals and writing out their master plan. The hard part comes when it's time to execute our plans and when we lose all motivation to get up early, to eat right, to go to the gym, to save that extra dollar, or skip the call with a toxic person in our lives. So I understand exactly how that feels, because about 10 years ago, I was pregnant, right? It was January. I was pregnant. I was due to give birth in April of 2011. And I had gained so much weight. I didn't realize it at the time, but around this time, I had one of my final doctor's visits, and I had gained about 75 pounds. So I understand exactly how everyone is feeling now. I had no idea how I was going to get back to myself when in just 3 short months I would be giving birth, and it was a new year and I was ready to get back to myself. I also had no idea how I was going to get back on my exercise routine, how I was going to get back started with schooling and back on track with my goals. So I had a friend who, they just seemed to have so much joy, and seeing the joy that they found in the consistency of their running routine at the time and how much exercise brought them so much joy, I decided that I really needed that in my life. And in 2011, I changed a lot about my life. I gave birth to my son, and I decided that October I would run the Army 10 miler. And that would not only be, my moonshot goal, because I could barely walk a mile after I gave birth, but it was like one of those big goals that I had set for myself to run 10 miles. And I had from April to October to do that. And I really challenged myself to show up for my workouts and do what needed to be done to meet my goal of October 2011, running across the Army 10 miler finish line, sweaty, happy, and extremely proud of myself for tackling that really big challenge. And so in 2011, I challenged myself to tackle the small, everyday tasks to the best of my ability, from waking up at the same time to slowly increasing my workouts each week, to slowly increasing my mileage each week, and to really focusing on 1, waking up, making my bed, 2, having my clothes prepared for the, that day's run or the next day's run, and then 3, really keeping my goal visible. So I had a Army 10 miler pamphlet that I kept, and I had my registration confirmation. I had it printed. I kept a picture of it everywhere, and I just kept that goal in sight. I would set my alarm on Sundays to get my gear out and ready to go for the week. I would set my alarm for my morning runs. I would set my alarm for everything. And that at that time, that one small thing really, really changed my life. And that's what got me into marathons to begin with. And so I thought it would be great to start out the year, 1, sharing that, but 2, giving you some of the tips and tricks that really helped me. And I used a method that I developed called Mind, capital M, capital I, capital N, capital D. And so the Mind method is what I use to really go from not being able to do anything at all, at least physically, to really being able to conquer my goals. And I've used it for the past 10 years, and I've accomplished so much. I mean, things that I had put off for years and years before, I was able to accomplish in the last 10 years. And so the M stands for make a list. And so you want to make a list of 7 major goals for the year, or 7 major areas that you can set goals in each of the areas. So we'll cover that. The first one is personal. So this is something that is for you. An example would be read a book, read 1 book a month, right? And so that would be a personal goal. You can have 1 personal goal, you can have 20, but that is 1 personal goal for you as an example. The second section would be financial. So this could be something like save $5 a month or start a savings account. Whatever the goal is, you write it down, you have it recorded, and you go from there. The next one is physical. That could be walk a half a mile for 5 days a week or 3 days a week, and then increase it another half a mile the following week. A career section where you improve on the skills that will enhance your job performance. This can be something like your written communication skills or your conflict resolution skills, doing 1 thing that will enhance that area of your career. The next section would be education. This is where you decide that either you're going to do a certification program, take 1 college class, or complete your degree. That would go in the education section. The next section would be the family. So if you decide that you want to spend Fridays with your family, your immediate family. Now, of course, because of COVID, where a lot of us are stuck home, we're stuck in the house. Another could be you want to improve the connection with your siblings. So maybe you all don't talk on a regular basis, but you want to have that Zoom call once a week or once a month to stay connected. That could be something else. And then for your spiritual goal, it could be something like read a Bible or say your prayers or whatever it is that will improve your spiritual wellness. The I is for identify. And this is where you identify the actions that are needed to accomplish each goal. So if your personal goal is something like read one book a month, you need to identify what books you'll read, how much time you plan to put towards reading those books, and then how often you plan on doing it. So my goal, we'll use an example. I'll use myself as an example. If my goal is to read one book every month for the next 12 months, I have determined that I will either listen to my audiobook in the morning while I'm on the treadmill, or I'll read a hardcover book in the evening in my sitting area before I go to bed at night. The next one is for the end in mind. Never go a day without accomplishing at least one task on your list. So remember, I said keep the list visible. Make sure that you can see it, that it's everywhere on your mirror, in your phone. You can tape it to the television if you have to. But that is just another way for you to be able to keep your goals visible. You literally want to be able to trip over them. Everyone in your household should know exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And if you live alone, hey, you want to trip over your goals yourself. Like, you should turn around and say, man, there are my goals again, because that is really what's going to keep you focused on what it is that you should be doing each day, each week, each month. And what I like to do is set an alarm. I set an alarm every week to spend 10 minutes reviewing my goals, reviewing the tasks that I identified that needed to be completed, and then carving out time to do what I like to call just a review of what's going well and what's not. And so don't forget, the I is identify the actions that need to be accomplished for each goal. And then the N is to never go a day without accomplishing each task. And that gets us to the D in mind. And the D is for don't forget to review what is working and what is not working for you. A lot of times this is critical because a lot of people, they just say, oh, well, I didn't accomplish that goal. You know what? Too bad. I'll figure it out another day. I'll figure it out another time. And if you never identify the reasons why you were not able to accomplish a task that was on your heart and mind, and you wrote it out and you did the planning, if you don't identify that, it's going to be very hard for you to go from not, having a goal or for you to go from where you are now to accomplishing that goal. And so when we do the review, it's really to determine what went well so that you can continue and constantly improve on it and add it to your routine and find new ways that you can go about doing it. And so just don't forget to review what is working and what is not working. So again, this is the mind method. You want to go through that. You can write this stuff down and use it. And let me know how it's working for you. Leave a comment. Send me an email, and I'll share with you all the ways that you can contact me in the end. But I really, really, really want to be able to hear how these things are working for you. The next thing is vision boards and our values. And so vision boards, that's something that I incorporated in my routine, in my annual routine, which I do them. One I'll do on my birthday of every year. That's my gift to myself. I review my vision for my life. I review my goals for the year, and I really celebrate how far I've come through that year. I also like to review previous vision boards during that time to see how much I accomplished. I do my own review of what went well and what didn't go so well and what areas I need to improve. And I really write that down and figure out ways that I plan to overcome those shortfalls. And so having a vision board is another way to keep your goals visible. But more important than keeping your goals visible is to be clear about your values. And I say that because our goals and our vision for our lives may change. But the one thing that we have to be clear on is what our values are. Because there will be times when we set a goal and you know what, it just is not able to be accomplished in the time that we set out or at all. And so when we really